Radio Bypass, bringing you rock and roll music that deserves to be heard. Discover new bands. Here's some old favorites on Radio Bypass.
Hey, Radio Bypass. Today we are getting together with a talented musician who's worked with a lot of people in his career, including our friend Mike Tramp. Please welcome Marcus Nand. How are you, Marcus?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Ralph. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm happy to be here.
My pleasure. I'm happy to have you, and I'm excited to talk to you because I got turned on to your new music by the first single that you released, Long Way Down. And when I received it and cranked it up on my little studio monitors here, I was like, wow, this thing sounds fantastic. So I had to put it into another format so I could listen to it on my big system, and it sounded even more fantastic. So I was really digging the song. So I thought, man, it'd be great to talk with you and learn more about you. I know you've had a lengthy career, but for this music of yours, I believe, if I understand correctly, not only are you playing guitar quite admirably, but that's also you singing. So yes. The new album's on its way, not till August 2nd, called The Traveler. So I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, and let's talk about the record.
Well, great. Well, thank you. Thank you for for paying attention, and thank you for I'm glad you like the way it sounds. That's really important to me.
Very much.
The Traveler is a collection of songs that I've written, over the past X amount of months and years, and I produced it and engineered it, and got a lot of great good friends and really talented players to play on it. That's one of the other reasons it sounds as the way it does. I wanted to do a record that was really heavy on guitar textures, but definitely a vocal record and a record of songs that hopefully meant something to in the song department. Right. So it's really important for me to write cool, memorable songs and well-structured songs, and of course those songs then become an excuse to layer a load of guitars on them, right? So right. I think it's a guitar record and hopefully a vocal and a song record. That's how I would like it to be perceived.
Well,
yeah,
I think so. At least based on that song. I mean, I guess I'll let you know in August when I've heard the whole album, but
okay, yeah.
But I think you hit the mark with Long Way Down anyway.
Thank you.
What made that particular tune? Obviously, you released ahead of the album. What made you pick that song to be your introduction? I know you had another solo record out, I believe, in the past, but
yes,
for this new one, what made you choose that one to lead off?
I thought the energy was a straight ahead rock song and a radio sounding song. So I thought that would be a really good one to lead with. There's some progressive stuff on the record as you'll hear when I send it to you. But I wanted to go more with the straight ahead rock song. I think that's easier to start to lead with. And I think it gives you also the opportunity to be played in more places. It's a little more accessible, even though the record isn't, it's not a complex record. It's not inaccessible. It's not completely progressive, but there are some other, textures and things on there. So I wanted to lead with a just a rock song, especially because, being, as we talked about a second ago, being involved with the Mike Tramp Songs of White Lion stuff, it really opens a rock audience up for me. So I wanted to make sure that I did something that would work for that, and yeah, that was it.
Gotcha. Yeah, and we didn't talk about Mike too much yet, but we'll get to that because you've got more music coming out there too, where you're playing and wearing a producer's hat. But for The Traveler, you mentioned a little bit of progressive stuff and everything, but all of them have vocals, or you got some instrumental stuff on?
No, it's all vocals. They're all vocals. Yeah.
Gotcha. And you wrote and arranged, I assume, everything. It's kind of almost a one-man show, but brought in some players.
Yeah, I sort of, cast the record in a way like you would be, because being, I have so many friends that I'm lucky to call them friends, but they're just phenomenal players in their own right, and and great professionals that have been in the business a long time. So I was fortunate to be able to draw on people, you know, to contribute. So you sort of figure out who's going to be better for certain roles, and and then you can sort of design the, you know, the recordings in that way. So as far as drummers go, we everybody recorded in their own studios and environments, you know, and sent me files, and then I built everything on top. Sometimes I played bass, sometimes I played a few, you know, the keyboards, but mostly it's, you know, the right person for the right job.
Right.
Yeah, I stuck to what I do best, which is guitars and vocals, but everybody else is, you know, have given me great contributions, and very happy to have everybody on the record.
That's awesome. Well, through your career, you've played with Rod Stewart. You've played with Mike before with Freak of Nature.
Yes.
And then I saw this I was not aware of. You did something with Ricky Phillips too.
Oh yeah. Ricky and I have a long history of working on writing together and producing together. He was sort of like the first person to, you know, to sort of take me under his wing at the time. I was this is like in the early 90s. This is before I met Mike. As a matter of fact, I met Mike through Ricky at the, you know, at that time. So yeah, Rick and I have a great working relationship, and we've actually been talking lately about possibly, you know, very casually, nothing structured or anything, but very casually talking about maybe, you know, seeing if we could write some songs or you know, that sort of thing.
That's awesome. Yeah, because he impressed me with when the Montrose record 10 by 10 after RadioBypass came out. I had read that, you know, he was very instrumental in getting that all together and finished.
He really was. He absolutely was. Yeah.
And I was like, wow, because I thought it was a fantastic, beautiful ending tribute kind of thing to Ronnie, I thought.
Yeah.
And I was very impressed with how that record sounded and the songs and everything. And I saw the level of involvement he had, and I'm like, wow, I've never met him, never interviewed him, but someday I'd like to, because I was very impressed with what he did for that record.
Hopefully you can. I'm happy to help. You know, if you need my help. He's a fantastic songwriter and producer. Everything that we worked on ends up sounding really, really great, and he has a very broad, you know, a broad sense of all the parts, all the moving parts, and does a great job.
Right. Yeah. Well, when you first came to the United States, what brought you here originally? Were you signed up to play with somebody? Right.
No, I was only 18 when I came here. I was I moved out here I grew up in Spain, so I moved out here from Spain. I initially came out to go to GIT, which I did in 1990, and then I never really intended to stay. Well, actually, it's hard to say, because you're a kid, you know what I mean, at that time. But
sure.
I always sort of knew I'd have a big connection to the States, because you know that was the place you sort of had to come here at that time if you know, for music, you know, as David Gilmour once said, it was a place where you could have bigger ideas.
Right.
And it still is to me. It still feels that way. That's why I love it so much. So I came out to go to GIT, and then when I graduated, I started, you know, making some, you know, my network started getting a little better, and I started talking to people and playing with other people, and then bit by bit, you know, time passes and you realize you've been here 34 years.
Yeah, and it goes by just like that.
Just like that.
But that's cool. I was just curious what brought you here to begin with, because obviously your career trajectory's kind of worked out for you, you know, and that doesn't always happen. So
no, it doesn't always happen. I think you've really got to stay with it. You got to stay. Staying power is just as important as any type of talent, and you know, it's just one of those things.
Right. So obviously, if you went to GIT, you had a major love for guitar, of course. But obviously you sing, and also as we'll get into, this is probably a good segue about production. Where did that come in? Like, when did you add the production hat to your resume?
The productions started because I used to, well, I have done for long periods of time. I've done a lot of production for music for TV and that whole sort of thing. Music for sync and licensing and cues and that sort of stuff. So the technical ability sort of happened in that, you know, area. But then I really liked working with other players and other artists because I've been fortunate to spend a lot of time with some great people, Ricky including, you know, being one of them. You know, a lot of people that have helped me when I was a young musician and they were established, said a lot of the right things to me and helped me in a lot of different ways. So I thought I could sort of take that and work with other artists and use all that to you know, to help bring out the best in them.
Right.
So it's production, something I really, really enjoy. I love the technical aspects of it. I love working with other singers. I love, you know, trying to find the performances and going through the performances. And I really, really enjoy that aspect of it. And then there's a human psychological aspect of production that's interesting too. You know, I think that's the hardest part, but
being the I don't know, psychiatrist or something.
Yeah, being able
the coach,
to
the cheerleader.
Yeah, being able to talk to
the boss. Also,
I don't know about the boss.
You could do
managing people, the management of people, and the
there you go, people manage.
That's the hardest part, I think, for me.
Yeah, I would imagine. So, what do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy production or playing?
I enjoy all of it equally.
Or is it all equal?
It goes through cycles. You know, sometimes the playing, other times the production. I do love being in the studio. The studio is such a great creative, personal environment, I think. So I love being in that bubble. Because when you're on stage, obviously you got to perform and you're sort of you're expelling your energy, you're giving it, right? And in the studio you can slow things down and you can have different sort of textures in your work, and you can be in your own, you sort of bring it in the studio, and I like that. I like the internal sort of search, if you will, in the studio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it just depends, but you know, the studio may have a little edge, I think.
Gotcha. You're more in control, I guess, a little bit too that way, but
yeah, well, yeah, you can be, but also you can in the studio you can, the creative aspect of it. Let's see where this goes, and that's a dead end, and let's try this, and it's sort of like how feels like a puzzle that you have to solve. I really like that aspect of it.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense to me. So as a producer, who would you say is a big influence on you? You know, a lot of times I hear guys like Roy Thomas Baker or Andy Johns or this or that. Like, who would somebody whose production would you say maybe pushes your hand a little bit to how you're?
There are so many. I think a lot of it depends. I think a lot of it depends on who you're working with, where you want to take something. Because I'm not a producer in the way where I'm sort of like, okay, this is how we're going to do this. It's, you know, there are different styles to that. I always like sort of seeing what the artist wants to do and where their head is, and trying to help them accomplish that, you know, as best I can, you know. So I think it just depends. It depends on which direction. And some people require more input. Others require less, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like working with artists that have a sort of a clear picture and a lot of experience and talent, that, you know, to where you don't need to really guide the direction of the thing, but you can help, you know, just contribute what you know how to do to help them accomplish what they need to do, you know. And
right.
Also co-writing. I like co-writing and figuring out the structure of songs. I think that's a really element of production that I really enjoy too.
So you like the collaboration being?
I like the collaboration. Yeah.
then how about guitar? What player first got you interested in being a guitar player?
It was always Gilmour first for me, and then I'm a massive Blackmore fan. Gilmour, Page, Liveson, Blackmore, Gary Moore. I mean, there's so many of them too, and depending on the period you go through. But I would say those are the ones that have had the biggest influence on my playing.
Gotcha. So did you first start out with Fender guitars then? Was that
Yes, I did. Yeah, I first started out with Fender, and it's always been that way. I've stayed on it because it's just comfortable to me. It's hard for me to play a Les Paul. I find it hard to express myself on a Les Paul. The Strat really works for me.
Gotcha. And then as a singer, who was one of your first vocal influences? Probably a bunch of those too, I'm sure. But
Gillan is a big favorite of mine. Yeah, Gillan and I mean, not that you can. None of these come out in my vocal because they are just such fantastic singers. But Tyler, Gilmour. I mean, sorry.
Tyler's a good one.
Tyler, yeah, absolutely. Gillan, so many. Rod Stewart, obviously a fantastic big influence of mine. Yeah.
Ian Gillan's an interesting one. I don't get people naming him that often. And
wow.
To me, he was, especially when he was young, was just very unique, And I mean, I don't know how he got so high as he did on some things. Yeah. But that Made in Japan album, I couldn't, and that was in the days when live was truly live, right? And absolutely, I couldn't believe what I was hearing out of his mouth.
I couldn't believe that. It was Child in Time you're talking about, right? When Child in Time,
the whole record.
Couldn't believe it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's playing on that. I mean, Made in Japan I wore that record out. I think I've worn out like 3 copies, in my lifetime. Yeah. They're all playing phenomenally well on that record.
Yeah, it's just very interesting to hear you pick him because I mean, I won't say he's my number one. Probably Steven Tyler is my number one.
Okay.
But he's definitely in my top 10 or 15 guy. But usually I'll hear most people it's Steven Tyler or Paul Rogers, of course, another great guy, or Freddie Mercury. But Ian Gillan doesn't come up as often, so that's intriguing to me that he had an impact on you in that way.
He did, a big impact. Yep.
And then since you write songs and arrange them, what about from a songwriting aspect? What influenced you there?
I really love, I'm a big Neil Peart fan as a lyricist. I think he's a poet, a phenomenal poet. And ever since I discovered Rush, those lyrics, I really, really love the way he writes. I love the fact that he can talk about the human element and the emotional element, he can talk about society, and I love those type of lyrics.
Gotcha.
So he was a big one. Gilmour as well. Gilmour was a big. Actually, Gilmour wasn't the lyricist in that man, but the Floyd lyrics. There's some cynicism in there that I try to avoid now because I don't like sounding cynical. I like to be a little bit more positive than that. But there's some great observational stuff in Floyd.
Mm-hmm.
When they're talking about different types of people and making those observations. I like that. So I like the poetic, lyrical styles of songwriting.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And then as far as, musically, I like things that have I like pop structure, like you'd hear a Bon Jovi song or a Bryan Adams song. I like that,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I like big choruses and those sort of things. Can't always find them, but yeah,
right.
I like them.
Well, I lean that way too. I mean, I like some esoteric type stuff, but I also appreciate that when something sticks in your head that you hear it 5 hours after you've listened to the song or something, and it's still there. Yeah. I always figured that person, whoever wrote a good song because it stayed with me. you know,
Yep, yep.
and usually that is the chorus. Sometimes it's a verse because I've had verses that really speak to me too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you analyze a lot of really great songs, the verse and the verse is as much of a chorus as the chorus is, right? And and especially on some modern songs, even the bridges, if there is a bridge, sometimes there isn't, but sometimes it's like 3 choruses back to back. Def Leppard stuff sometimes is like 3 choruses back to back, right?
Right.
And yeah. So
yeah,
a lot of great stuff.
yeah, I'm with you there. All right, so let's discuss a little bit before we swing back to the Travelers. So, Songs of White Lion, Volume 1 is out. Coming soon is Volume 2. Volume 2 is one that you produced.
Yeah.
Right. And what can we expect on that record?
Okay, so on Volume 1 we did. It was more the obvious white, songs that any white. What's that?
I said the bigger ones because definitely.
Yeah, the bigger ones. Yeah, that any White Lion fan would expect that we did. But on this next album, we did some deeper cuts. Some deeper musical cuts, and I don't want to give away what's on there because I want it to be a surprise. But
oh yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah. Well, the first single has been advertised already. Oh, has it?
Yeah. Well, I just actually got it sent to me.
Okay.
Let me look real quick. I forget what it said, but yes, I know it's coming soon.
It's coming soon. Well, it's definitely coming. I think it's coming 23rd of June, sorry. 23rd of June.
Oh, June, yeah. I'm going in there right now just so we have the info. But yeah, no, I'm excited to hear that there's some deep cuts there. I know you played with Mike before with Freakin' Nature too, so This is a new thing for you. But when you first started working with Mike, Vito was obviously such a well-regarded guitar player.
Yeah.
Everybody and anybody thinks he's awesome. Was that a lot of pressure on you when you first had to step into that role and play some of the music that Vito was the original guitarist on?
It was a little bit intimidating because of those things you mentioned, and from a guitar point of view, it was a little intimidating, but it was also a little intimidating because I didn't know how people were going to receive it. I didn't, you never know. Right. But I try to be true. I try to serve what he'd done and just do it in a way that suited Tramp's voice more now. So we changed the keys, and I try to keep it as close to his notes as possible, even though I'm playing it. And when 2 people play the same thing, well, even if we did play the same thing, it would sound different, right?
Right.
So it was intimidating, but then there's an advantage to it. And because what he did was so specific, it gave me a definite target to shoot for. So I'd know you'd know immediately if you were missing the target. So in that way, it was beneficial that these parts were so iconic, because you'd sort of, you'd be able to measure it up to that and go, well, is it good enough?
Right.
And if it wasn't, then it was clear that it wasn't. So you go back and do a little better. So from that standpoint it was. But then when we started playing it live, we got great feedback from his fans. Really great feedback, and everybody's so complimentary about how these songs ended up, and it's really been it's been moving for me to see that, to see how people have reacted to them.
Right. Well, I did look when you and I were originally going to get together, and then I had to back out. But I was looking at your website, and I was watching the different video clips you have there.
Yeah.
Looking at your playing, and to me too, I thought, I bet you nobody's got a problem with you being the Vito fill-in, because you did great. But I was thinking, if I'm you though, and I'm that person, those are pretty big shoes to fill.
Yes.
And that had to be, like I would assume, intimidating. But you handle it with calm, of course. As far as that single, I was just looking. It doesn't tell me when it's actually coming out, so I don't know if we're supposed to be talking about it now or not.
I don't want to give away what it is, because I can't remember if Tramp's actually posted what the title is going to be. I know he's been teasing, And there is a date.
I won't give it away either. I have it here, but it doesn't really say. It does tell me, though, so I think we can say this, that the album is now scheduled for release on August 23rd.
That's correct. August the 23rd. Yeah.
You see that. So
yes.
you are really going to be in the spotlight in August because the Traveler's out on August 2nd.
Yes.
And,
yeah.
21 days later, 3 weeks later, we've got Songs of White Lion Volume 2. And then you guys are going to be starting the U.S. White Lion, Mike Tramp White Lion dates right around that time frame as well.
Yeah, first show is 22nd of August in Vegas as of now. 22nd or 25th. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah. And then you got a couple of shows this month or one show maybe this month over in Europe, right?
We're doing 3 shows. We're doing 2 festivals, one in Stuttgart, one in somewhere in Sweden. I can't remember the city. And then we're playing in Christiania in Copenhagen. Very interesting place. I don't know if you're familiar with that place, but it's interesting.
I haven't. My wife has. I haven't.
Okay, yeah.
But that's later toward the end of this month, right? Is when.
Yes, yeah. I'm leaving in a couple of weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go to our European listeners. I know we have people in Hessen, Germany. I don't know if we have anybody near Stuttgart, but I've heard from folks in Hessen that listen.
Very cool. Very cool.
So there you go. Chance to see this guy sooner than us guys over here in the U.S. Marcus, let's swing back to your record and then we can wrap things up. So for the Travelers, so first of all, if this record's coming out on Cleopatra Records.
Cleopatra Records.
So you guys can check out their website. I'm sure you can pre-order now. Usually Cleopatra does a great job with having CD and vinyl available.
They do, and that's the plan, yeah.
Okay. And then for yourself, you've got your website, and it looks like from when I looked at it last week or whenever that was, that you kind of keep that up to date as well. So
I try, yeah.
So you guys can get current info on Marcus at his website, and I think it was just marcusnand.com.
marcusnand.com, yeah.
Yeah, so check that out. NAND for his
NAND, yes.
Check that out, and you've got social media as well. So look Marcus up, follow him. A lot of great stuff coming up in the coming months from Marcus. Since we kind of gone in circles a little bit here, going back to the travel, what would you most like people to know about this record? Besides that, it's a labor of love, obviously.
It's definitely a labor, like everything is, right? Everything has to be a labor of love. I would just like people to give it a listen. Listen to it from beginning to end, because it is an album. It is definitely an album, and it's not a concept album, but it's definitely designed to take you on a little journey. So I would just like people to enjoy it. That's basically it. I put a lot of time into the guitars and the vocals and the writing, and I really wanted to make something that people could enjoy. So that's that. If somebody enjoys any part of it, that's what it's intended for. Awesome.
And so what we're going to do now, as we end this interview, is we're going to play Long Way Down, the original single that was been released. And then, guys, it's not out yet, but coming June 20th, there's going to be another single coming out from the record. Can't talk too much about that yet, but keep an eye out. That's why you should go like and follow Marcus right now as you're watching this, and check that out too, because I can tell you, I've had a sneak peek into these ears, and you're gonna love what you're about to hear now, and you're gonna love the next single as well. Marcus, thank you so much for coming by Radio Bypass. It's been great having you.
Thank you, Ralph. I very much appreciate your time and you taking an interest, and I appreciate what you do to get, music, new music, original music to people. That's fantastic.
Well, thank you, sir. It's important to me because and for all you musicians, because all of you that make music that I love, you make my life better. You enrich my life just by creating what you create. So I'm so happy there's guys like you, because I know it's not a lucrative financial thing. I know it's not the best lifestyle to be a musician. And so all of you guys that sacrifice what you need to do that, my hat's off to all of you that do that for people like me. So, all right. So again, MarcusNand.com, check him out. Get to know Marcus. Go see Mike Lyon. Go see Mike Tramp and the Songs of White Lion this summer when they come through a town near you. You'll see this man on guitar, another great guy that I know on bass. So make sure you go check out some live music. And for those of you in Europe, you've got a chance coming up in just a couple of weeks. And now, from The Traveler, due out August 2nd, this is Long Way Down. Thanks, Marcus.
Thank you, Ralph. It's a long way down, a long way down. If you put your faith in love, it's a long way down. You're playing a cold, hard game. Somebody must have twisted your heart to make you act this way. But I'm a fool, don't wanna let you go. I'm craving the body I can't have no more. Like you, I got better things to do. 'Cause yeah, I took you all the way like a shooting star to a lovely place. And yeah, you say you've changed, you want me back again, but you know it's too late. You're falling, baby, and it's a long way down.